Well, for the first time in 19 years, Madison Square Garden played host tonight to a Saturday night's main event with a card that was as weak as any MSG card probably that we have seen in years. I mean, you look at what was on this card on paper coming into, thankfully we at least had the big tag team main event. But for weeks, we had one, we had two, we had three matches, and I was like, looking at this card, I'm like, this is a Madison Square Garden. This is pathetic. This is really bad. And then we had the tag team match that was added that at least, and last night on SmackDown, we had actual stakes put on the line in that tag team match. So that was good at least, but I can't say the same for the rest of this card. It was a bloody night. I feel like we had more blood, incidental blood on this show than we have in a very long time in WWE. Fallon Henley, Lyra Valkyria, CM Punk. Punk had the least of it, but it was either from the nose or the mouth. So we had some blood on this show. I told you guys last night, we gathered here to talk about SmackDown, and I ran down the final card and I said, this is a one-match show. This Saturday night's main event is going to hinge on how good the main event is. It's a one-match show. It all comes down to Cody Rhodes and CM Punk against Gunther and Sami Zayn, which had the potential to be a really fun match, and that one match delivered. I actually thought the main event was a lot of fun, except it ended up not being the main event. I keep calling it the main event, but as it turns out, it was not the main event on this show here tonight, which is pretty crazy because they gave the main event to Roman Reigns. In case you were wondering who the man in WWE is, in case you were wondering who's probably getting that Night 2 SummerSlam main event, look no further. Roman Reigns, the World Heavyweight Champion, was promoted for a segment with the captain of the New York Knicks, your reigning 2026 NBA champion New York Knicks, Jalen Brunson. We were never told what they were going to be doing. All we were told is that Roman Reigns and Jalen Brunson were going to be together. They were going to be doing something on Saturday night's main event. They weren't going to be wrestling. They were going to be doing something. And they saved that for the closing segment of the show. And Jalen Brunson comes out. He gets a full entrance. And Roman Reigns joins him, and they make their way down to the ring. Boy, let me tell you something. If you love this aura farming era of WWE that we are in, they gave you exactly what you wanted in that closing segment, because you knew as soon as Brunson started slowly walking through the backstage area, you knew the level of aura farming that we were going to get in the closing minutes of this show was just off the page. It was off the charts. And so that's exactly what we got. But to the people who I know are going to be very upset about what that segment was, why was it on this show? I don't disagree with you. It was very out of place on this show, but you got to keep in mind something very, very important. And it's not just the TKO effect. Obviously, the TKO effect is very real. They love their celebrity involvement. They want their ESPN moments. That's what they got in that closing segment tonight. And they're going to replay this footage. It's going to be all over social media. And this is, they live for this shit, right? WWE, they love their celebrities. They're all, they've been star fuckers for years. This is not news. But honestly, did you expect that the New York Knicks were going to win their first championship in 53 years, and WWE was going to then come to Madison Square Garden not long after, knowing that there are team members on the Knicks squad, including the MVP himself, the captain of the team, who are WWE fans? We have literally had Jalen Brunson appear on WWE television before as part of an angle with a man who is not on the Knicks, but who was actually there tonight again. Knowing that they have fans on the Knicks squad, knowing that they're coming to MSG, knowing that Danhausen and the Danhausen curse became such a big part of Knicks lore in the postseason this year, did you honestly expect anything other than what we got on this show tonight? Did you expect that WWE was not going to go all in to try to exploit that and try to do something like this so they can mooch off the Knicks who just won this championship? This is such a big deal here in New York City. This is exactly what they were going to do. And they were, or certainly if there were players who wanted to participate in the show, they were going to say no. They were going to be like, fuck yeah, let's see how we can work these guys into the show. And Jalen Brunson was not the only Nick who made an appearance on this show and had a role on this show. I'm not shocked by any of this. I think the fans in the building clearly enjoyed it. They love Jalen Brunson. They love the Knicks. If you are in New York City, if you're a New York City person, you know how special that championship was here to the people of this city. And, you know, even those who maybe aren't diehard NBA fans, right? It was a big deal here in New York. So for the fans who were in the Garden, they seemed to love it. For the fans who were watching at home, who were not from New York, who may not even be from this country, who may not even like basketball, then you probably didn't give a shit about the closing 20 minutes or so of this show. You could have turned the show off after the actual main event, and you would not have missed anything. You missed literally nothing if you did not see the closing segment. In fact, what was so weird about the closing segment was it set up a Seth Rollins run-in, and Seth Rollins was booked as the heel in this scenario. He came out. Everyone is showering Roman Reigns and Jalen Brunson with love. They're chanting Jalen's name. They're chanting OTC. Roman Reigns is gifting Jalen Brunson a replica World Heavyweight Championship belt, which I actually have to say looked fucking amazing. The belt did. That World Heavyweight Championship on a blue strap with like the orange trim. Oh my God. So, yeah, but it's basically one big circle jerk in the middle of the ring. And then out comes Tyrese Halliburton, a villain here in New York. And Seth Rollins with the ambush on Roman Reigns in the ring like the villain in this scenario. And he goes to stomp Roman and Jalen Brunson stands in the way and he's not going to let him do it. And Rollins eats a Superman punch and he gets bounced out of the ring. I'm watching this. I'm looking at Brunson and Reigns in the ring and I'm looking at Rollins and Tyrese Halliburton. And they're retreating up the aisle. And I'm looking at this and I'm like, you know, in the month of July, many years ago, in fact, almost 30 years ago, and then 28 years ago as well, there were a couple of really big tag team matches, celebrity tag team matches that were hosted in WCW involving NBA players. If this were a different era, you would almost watch that closing segment and think that they were setting up for a big tag match in the main event of SummerSlam. Except they're not. They're not. They're definitely not with Jalen Brunson. If you saw the cast on his wrist, he didn't do anything physical. Neither did Halliburton. He's coming off a pretty serious injury too. But yeah, we were definitely getting some Rodman and Malone vibes from what was going on there at the end of the show. Look, I saw it for what it was. Where WWE can tap into pop culture, where WWE can tap into sports, right? The Knicks were all the rage, where they can tap into that and use that in their mind to help promote their own product and their own stars. They are going to do that. And so this is what you end up with. You end up with a segment on the show that felt very out of place. It felt like if they were going to have a big Madison Square Garden super show, perfect segment for that. But I don't know that most people watching really gave a flying fuck about what they saw in that closing segment. The real main event on this show came before that. It was Cody Rhodes and CM Punk. Can they coexist? Tag team partners against GUNTHER and SAMI ZAYN. And we had a big stipulation added to the match last night on SmackDown, where if the heels won, they would be added to the championship match at SummerSlam to make it a fatal four-way. Which got a lot of people talking and thinking, well, maybe we're going to get a four-way, right? That answers the question about what's SAMI ZAYN going to be doing at SummerSlam. Except that it flies in the face of the obvious match for GUNTHER, which was against Nick Aldis, who we saw tonight. In fact, Nick Aldis played a direct role in GUNTHER and SAMI ZAYN losing the match. So as of this moment, the championship match at SummerSlam remains one-on-one for the moment. For the moment. It remains one-on-one between Cody Rhodes and CM Punk. And it makes you wonder now, we know what GUNTHER's path is going to be, right? Now there can be no doubt. We're going to see Nick Aldis don the tights once again. He'll be wrestling GUNTHER. But what does SAMI ZAYN do at SummerSlam? You watch this, Sammy through no fault of his own, once again, got fucked over tonight. Sami Zayn got screwed. Sami Zayn is going to blow a gasket over the general manager of his show. This is his boss who interfered in the match and directly cost him an opportunity to challenge for the WWE Championship. He didn't do anything wrong. It would only be fair for Sami to be compensated in some way. Nor, by the way, did he take the losing fall in this match. Are they going to add Sami Zayn and make it a triple threat match at SummerSlam? At the very least, there should be a promise made, a guarantee that, okay, the match for SummerSlam, we ain't changing it, but you get first crack at whoever walks out of Minneapolis with the WWE title. Maybe even that first SmackDown coming out of SummerSlam. You earned a championship rematch. You have yet to receive one. You got fucked over at Madison Square Garden. You get first dibs on that title coming out of SummerSlam. There has to be some sort of guarantee that is made to Sami, especially if he's not going to be added to the match at SummerSlam, because I don't know what else he's doing on that show. Probably nothing. So we'll see how that shakes out, because it's very unfair. If you really think about it, I mean, come on now. I understand, Nick Aldis, has animus towards Gunther for beating him up a couple of weeks ago, but Sami Zayn kind of got caught in the crossfire here. So we'll see how that story plays out. And again, they played, some tension between Cody and Punk. There were some miscommunications during the main event. Otherwise, they got along fine. I will say when the match was over, I was watching Cody, not even Punk. I had my eyes on Cody Rhodes. The way that he was acting, I thought for a moment there he was going to smack Punk right in the face. It felt to me like we might actually get a Cody Rhodes heel turn on this show. And he didn't, he kind of raised Punk's hand and everything was all hunky-dory between them. And I love how he gives Punk the belt because he's staring at the championship. And he hands Punk the belt, and Punk goes to sling it over his shoulder, and the strap smacks Cody right in the eye. And Cody's just standing there like, he's going like this. He goes, what the fuck, dude? So again, little moments like that are going to lead to tensions boiling over. Probably next Friday. I'm still waiting on that big promo segment between Cody and Punk. I really enjoyed that match. It was nonstop. It never let up. It was not sluggish at all. Really, from the opening bell, they went at it. They picked up where they left off at the end of SmackDown on Friday. And as I said, it was a one-match show. I thought that one match delivered. We also have new women's tag team champions. Not a shock at all, if you really pay attention to what's been going on. And it was absolutely the right move to make. So we have new women's tag team champions. We had Bayley and Lyra had a singles match. We'll get into what happened there. I already see a lot of people, oh, is this it for Bayley? This was Bayley's swan song. She's done with WWE. Pump the brakes. Cool your jets. Don't jump the gun. We'll talk about what happened in that match a little bit later on. We also got some news tonight, because during the show, WWE made an announcement pertaining to WrestleMania 43 next year. And no, they are not moving it out of Riyadh. I feel like there could be like an atomic bomb blast, and they still wouldn't move WrestleMania out of Riyadh because there's just too much money to lose out on. But they did announce that on both nights of WrestleMania next year, in New York City, there's a venue there, the theater at Madison Square Garden. NXT has had some shows there before. I think, oh God, what's the name of it now? The name has changed so many times over the years. It used to actually be the theater at Madison Square Garden. Was it the Infosys Theater? These fucking stupid names now. But they're actually hosting two shows. One after WrestleMania Night 1 and one after WrestleMania Night 2. Because remember, because it's in Saudi, it'll be airing probably 1 o'clock Eastern time here. So when WrestleMania ends, live locally in New York City, they're going to have a AAA show after WrestleMania. Well, actually, they didn't say which night. My guess would be the AAA show will take place after WrestleMania Night 1, and there will be an NXT show. Very likely taking place after WrestleMania Night 2. Again, that would be my guess. The AAA show, they're calling it AAA Eternal Glory. The NXT show is going to be Stand and Deliver. And they're going to be having WrestleMania watch parties in the theater there. Actually, it might actually be in Madison Square Garden itself during each night of WrestleMania. So they're loading up those days. Ain't nobody gonna want to be running shows anywhere either night of WrestleMania. I think it would be very stupid for anybody to run shows on those actual days other than WWE. I do, however, hope that a certain someone is planning a nice week of events or several days of events somewhere else here in the States leading up to WrestleMania weekend. This really doesn't have an impact on that. But we had that breaking news tonight. By the way, speaking of breaking news, for those of you who may be interested, WWE now has SummerSlam tickets discounted as low as $25. You knew this was coming. I mean, come on now. If you paid any attention to what the ticket sales are for SummerSlam, for those of you who give a shit, I know some people don't, they ain't good. Not in a stadium that fits 60 to 70,000 people. They have less than 25,000 tickets out for each night of SummerSlam. So this is what happens. Now we have tickets that are discounted down to $25. There are lower bowl seats. If you go on Ticketmaster right now, you can get certain lower bowl seats at US Bank Stadium for as little as $43, which is great news for the fans. So those of you, I mean, genuinely, who have been waiting, or maybe you're local and you've been thinking about going to SummerSlam, now's your chance because prices have dropped. And that was inevitable because when you price people out, eventually they reach their breaking point and they're like, I can't go. Or you know what? It ain't worth it for me to go. So if you want to get in, go ahead and get in on that. This is your Saturday night's main event review. It is July 18th, 2026. I am the Solomonster. That's by the concession stand. Yeah. It didn't say if it was obstructed view. I should point that out. Be like a friggin' pole that's in the way, blocking your view. It's possible. Pay attention to what kind of ticket it is. I didn't see what kind of tickets they are. I just saw the prices. $25 tickets and $43 tickets. Very unlike WWE. It could very well be next to the bathroom. It could be in the broom closet. I don't know. Like and subscribe. Super chats are open. I will be reading all of your messages. If you're new here, you'll see them popping up on screen, and I will be shouting you out as we go along here in the stream and a little bit later on. And we have the Wheel of Fun. That's what I call it. Since the Wheel of Fortune is trademarked.
I am the
Shut the fuck up. I think the Learning Tree is also trademarked. I'm pretty... Jericho trademarks everything.
Fuck that tree.
I'd be shocked if it wasn't trademarked. Spin the wheel and find out how many likes we need for our Be the Booker segment. Saturday night's main event edition. We got to do one for Saturday night's main event. It'd be weird if we didn't. But can we make it happen? 500 likes. It's going to be a journey to get there. We're at 275. 500 likes minimum is the goal tonight on a Saturday night for Be the Booker. Yes, directly behind a column. Do they have columns there at US Bank Stadium? I've not been there. They might. I don't know. Am I excited for the return of the Painmaker? I was feeling some pain when I watched that return vignette on Dynamite the other night. I think he looks completely ridiculous. That's what I think. Although I heard there was a new stipulation added to his match tonight with Tommaso Ciampa. I'll have to go back and see what I missed. But let's talk about this first. They added a match. Oh, I'm sure this took everything in Paul Levesque. I mean, he was probably twitching. He was twitching when somebody suggested to him, maybe we should have a fifth match on this show. And he said, I'll compromise with you. We'll put it on the pre-show, which is something WWE has not done for a very long time. When was the last time they had pre-show matches? I can't remember the last time they had pre-show matches. But we got one tonight. It was added very late, non-title, with the United States champion, Trick Williams, going one-on-one with Laredo Kid. Very, very random. But okay, hey, the more the merrier because we don't get enough matches on these shows. Late in the match, this aired, by the way, on the pre-show, as I mentioned, so either on the YouTube channel, I think it was also airing on Peacock, is where you could go back and watch it. Laredo Kid, he countered a bookend into a roll-up, only for a 2 count. He then dove out of the ring onto Trick from the top of the ring post, and he basically completely missed Trick, and he just crashed and burned on the floor. Took Trick down anyway, and then put him back in the ring. They ended up back inside. Trick was able to finish him off with the trick shot knee, and he picked up the win. Not much else to say about it. It was a match. Wasn't great, wasn't terrible. At least we got some more action. We don't get enough action on these shows. And I also think that they should be doing more pre-show matches. I'm not saying they have to fill them up. Even if it's just one match, you know, it's okay to have a pre-show match. You won't die. Unless you do dives like Laredo Kid did, where he almost died. The main card. What a card it was. It opened with Brie Bella and Paige defending their WWE Women's Tag Team Championships against Fallon Henley and Lainey Reed, Fatal Influence, who made their way out to the ring with JC Jane. Yes. Comedic genius, I could not have put it any better. It was a match of all time. That's exactly what it was. The last time we saw this match, the titles were not on the line. It was a non-title match, and the champions beat the challengers. Challengers being the ones that we had tonight. So for them to go in there tonight and lose again would have been death. Death for Fatal Influence. There was only one possible outcome here. Now, Brie Bella posted a video the other day on her social media of a training session with her husband, Bryan Danielson, who was teaching her some new moves. So I was watching with a keen eye here to see if Brie was going to bust out any moves that I've not seen her use before. The answer is no, unless I missed something here. I didn't see anything out of the ordinary from her. He was showing her some cool stuff too, but I didn't pick up on it here. Lainey made a blind tag early in the match. She necked Paige right across the top rope, and they worked her over until she eventually made the hot tag to Brie, who dished out the yes kicks to Fallon, who was bleeding from the mouth. And I didn't see how it happened, but it was kind of like splattered across her face and her chin. So that was the first incidence of blood here on this show, not the last. Good thing this was on Peacock. Oh my God, can you imagine if this was on Netflix? On the replay, they would put a giant blur over her head. You wouldn't even be able to tell who it is. So Brie screamed, "Brie mode!" to a very tepid reaction from the crowd in New York City. And she worked over both heels. Eventually, though, they were able to cut her down. So Paige was setting up for her finish when JC Jane climbed up on the apron to run distraction. Fallon Henley ran in. She clotheslined Paige to break up the finish attempt. Paige avoided a charging Lainey Reed, who posted herself shoulder first, and then Paige tried to roll her up. Fallon Henley, though, was holding her partner's arms. So Brie comes in. She takes out Fallon, and that allows Paige to roll up Brie. JC, though, from the floor. Actually, she might have gotten up on the apron. But JC reaches in, and she was able to push Paige kind of backwards so that Lainey ended up on top of her for the 3 count to win the tag team titles. And this made Jessica Carr look like a blithering idiot. Because on commentary, they tried to explain, oh, the referee didn't see it. Jessica didn't see JC Jane interfering. Yes, she did. And if she didn't, then she should not be allowed to referee, and she should immediately have to undergo a medical evaluation to check her eyesight. Because there is no way that Jessica Carr did not see JC Jane interfere in this match, but she had to pretend as if she didn't. And so the finish looked very bad. However, we now have the end of Scream mode, right? I don't know. I don't know if there's still going to be a tag team or not. I don't see the point, frankly. Feels like they should be going their separate ways. I don't know where Nikki Bella is in her recovery. Maybe she's on her way back soon. But they are no longer the tag team champions. Fallon and Laney, again, they had to win this match. They had to. Not only did they lose in that non-title match a few weeks ago, but JC Jane goes into this qualifying match on SmackDown last night against Tiffany Stratton and loses. She can't even qualify to occupy one of the 5 spots in the Women's Championship ladder match at SummerSlam. Now, can you imagine if Fallon and Laney roll on into Madison Square Garden tonight, lose for a second time, coming off the JC loss? I would start asking questions about who has it in for these 3. Thankfully, it went the other way. Not that they have a ton of other teams to really work with, but this was a title change that was much needed. I don't have a whole lot to say about the match itself. Again, it was a match of all time, but it was the right outcome for sure. Now we go backstage.
I am the learner.
And we are joined by the Learning Tree. We've seen a lot of him over the last 24 hours.
Fuck that tree.
We have seen more of Jericho in the last 24 hours here on these streams than we have seen of him so far in 2026 on AEW television. Shout out to Tone C, celebrating 6 months of channel membership. Kathy Kelly is in the back. Can I just say, Kathy Kelly, looking amazing tonight. I just had to say that. She was interviewing SAMI ZAYN, who said that he hasn't been talking of late because he has to choose his words very carefully. He's going to have to choose his words even more carefully after what happened tonight. Said that he's not a victim, but everything that has happened to him has been egregious. All CM Punk and Cody Rhodes had to say is win. And they get their big championship match at SummerSlam where, as he has had to fight and scratch and claw for 10 years, GUNTHER shows up. And he tells Sammy, stay out of my way and don't ruin SummerSlam for me. And he walks off. Then they had their favorite segment of the night. They showed all of the influencers and all of these celebrities that were in attendance in the house here at Madison Square Garden for the big show tonight. They showed Terrence Crawford, a retired boxer. They showed O'Shea Jackson Jr. They showed Trick Williams coming off his win earlier on the pre-show. And they showed an influencer named Neon. Neon got into some trouble earlier today because I think this was at Fanatics Fest. It could have been backstage at the Garden, but I want to say it was at Fanatics Fest. And he was, I think, live streaming. So there's a camera following him around. He's filming. And Penta comes walking by, but no mask. He's maskless. And you could hear Penta tell him, like, please don't show that. Please don't post that. You know, no, I'm a masked star. And Neon's like, oh, I'm so sorry. But I think he was live streaming. So it kind of went out to the world. And I think, and maybe that happened yesterday because I think he showed up today and they like banned him from streaming, or there was some big controversy. There was fallout from what had happened. So, I mean, it didn't seem like anything malicious. Oh, he was live on Kick. Okay, so that's what it was. Anyway, I don't know too much about this guy, but that was a pretty fucking stupid thing to do. So anyway, fucked around, found out. Apparently he was banned, I guess, today. But there he was. They showed him on TV. After this, we had Danhausen. See, Jalen Brunson was not the only hero in New York City tonight. We had the true man responsible, even more than Jalen Brunson, the man responsible for the New York Knicks ending their 53-year drought and winning the championship. See, this is what I think. Jalen Brunson apparently played through all the playoffs and the finals with an injured wrist for which he needed surgery when the season was over. And I think the only reason that he was able to make it through and play as well as he was able to play is because of Danhausen. So he built up a lot of really goodwill with the fans here in New York City. He had a singles match, a rare Danhausen singles match against J.D. McDonough, even more rare, frankly. The fact that J.D. McDonough had a singles match on a Saturday night's main event, that's pretty fucking rare. This was no disqualification. Now, Danhausen, for those of you who haven't been paying attention, this story started with a segment that I do not believe aired on the actual television show. I believe it was shot for the socials, where the Judgment Day paid him $100,000 to put a curse on Obafemi. And Danhausen said, whoa, hold on a second. Obafemi? Yeah, I don't think so. But they claimed he stole the money. You owe us $100,000. And it was kind of born out of that. And he also put a curse on Liv Morgan. And that was a while back. So Liv Morgan lost her Queen of the Ring match to Io Sky. So Danhausen has not a lot of friends in the Judgment Day. And that's all led to this. They had a Danhausen blimp, by the way, that was flying around. Remember 30 years ago, it was the Stridex blimp at SummerSlam that they had in the building? Oh my God. That was like their title sponsor back then. Stridex zip pads. My God. I just reminded myself of the Stridex blimp. You know what they should have done? Just like most pimples, they should have popped the blimp while it was in the air, and then the blimp would just kind of fall on someone in the crowd. It's a horrible idea. Anyway, so McDonough entered with Liv Morgan and Dominic Mysterio. Liv didn't stick around, though. Dom accompanied him to ring. I don't know why Liv felt she had to go backstage. I mean, no disqualification. She's basically a manager now anyway. She doesn't do anything else. I don't know why she didn't stick around. Dom, though, had the New York Knicks jersey, the custom jersey that was gifted to Danhausen that has his name on it, that they stole from him a few weeks ago. Dom had the Knicks jersey. Danhausen entered in his Danhausen mobile. He abandoned it on the stage, and then we see the cloning machine is back. This is foreshadowing. Cloning machine was just sitting there right there on stage. So here we go. We're going to have this match, and as soon as, look, Danhausen's in it, so that right there tells you there's going to be some shenanigans. But once they made a no disqualification, you knew that there was going to be all kinds of hijinks and comedy and bullshit, right? You kind of know what to expect going into it. The bell rings. Danhausen, the first thing he does is he tries to curse McDonough, and he very quickly rolls out to the floor. Going to go confer with Dirty Dom. So Dominic was able to distract Danhausen, which allowed McDonough to ambush him from behind. And he sent Danhausen outside. Danhausen was being bounced off the barricades. He was getting the shit kicked out of him. So back inside, Danhausen got suplexed. And Dom was using the Knicks jersey to clean his shoes. Fans did not like that. When they showed that on the big screen, they started booing. They're probably booing this more than anything else on the show up to this point. McDonough then dropped Danhausen with a brainbuster. So then McDonough grabbed the jersey from Dom and he wiped his ass with it. And that got him some heat. He went for a moonsault. Nobody home. Danhausen was able to move out of the way. And he was able to get his jersey back. He put the jersey on. And he no-sold some strikes. I guess the jersey brought him some great power, I guess. Because he went on offense. Dom got into the ring. Danhausen suplexed him. McDonough went for a slam. Danhausen countered and laid him out. But then Dom attacked Danhausen from behind. And now it's 2-on-1. And they're stomping the crap out of this guy. So McDonough tears the jersey off Danhausen, who rolls out of the ring, and he starts going down the aisle towards the stage, like he's leaving. Meanwhile, Dom and McDonough back at ringside, right in front of the announcers, they go under the ring and they pull out a Slim Jim table. Got your branded tables. What was the logo, by the way, in the middle of the ring? Oh, it was a KFC logo. Is that what? I think that's what it was. I was going to ask, like, they had this giant logo in the middle of the ring, and I couldn't tell at first what it was. I'm pretty sure it was KFC. Well, look, back in the day in WCW, it was Snickers. You had the giant Snickers logo on the mat. Now it's KFC. All very healthy stuff. But they pulled this table out from underneath the ring, and in doing so, they pull out a bunch of mini Danhausens. I think there were 3 of them. 2 of them? 3 of them. They're tiny, so, my count could be off. So Dom and JD, they try to fend them off, and Meanwhile, Danhausen went back to the stage. He has his little cage with the stuffed animal in it. It's a cat. This goes back to his segment on SmackDown last night, where he was being interviewed by Jackie Redmond, who said, "You turned down Matt Cardona's offer to watch your back at Saturday night's main event, so are you sure that's the smart move, a wise move?" And Danhausen showed us this little cage with a fake cat, stuffed animal inside. And I told you last night exactly who it was going to be. Because people were like, "Cat, oh my God, is Ernest the Cat Miller going to show up?" We're like, what the fuck are you talking about? And the crowd goes mild. Yeah, that'd be great. Let's send Ernest Miller out there. But people were like, "Oh, I wonder what he means by that." Well, I mean, especially if you're a fan of the Knicks or if you're from New York, it's really not that hard to put two and two together about what was going to happen here. Once I saw the cloning machine, it was pretty clear who was popping out of that machine. But he throws there's like a little compartment, a little door on the bottom of the cloning machine. He puts the cage in there with the cat. And it didn't happen right away. They cut back to ringside. And again, they're dealing with the little mini Danhausens. But they're about to powerbomb one of the mini Hausens through the table in the ring. And the cloning machine is starting to make noise. It's working. And then it finishes, and the door opens, and there's smoke that billows out of the cloning machine. And here comes Cat. K-A-T. Karl Anthony Towns of the New York Knicks, who, of course, gets a big pop from the crowd here in New York. This is a giant man. How tall is Cat? He's a big guy. He's got to be every bit of 6'8". And so they shoot this in a way where, like they used to shoot Andre like this, where the cameraman would crouch down to make him look even bigger than he really was. And so here comes Karl Anthony Towns, and he's coming down to the ring, with Danhausen, and he steps over the top rope like Andre used to do. And he grabs McDonaugh by the throat. And all McDonaugh McDonough's doing all the work here, right? All JD has to do is just jump up in the air. And he did. And boy, did he get the shit choke slammed at it. This was a great choke slam. And all credit to McDonough on this. But Towns got him up. Is he 7 feet? Okay, yeah, I could believe it. He's 7 feet. 7'1"? All right, let's say he's 7 feet. 7 feet tall, legit 7 feet tall. And you can't teach that. And he picks McDonough up in the air and folds him up. Gigantic choke slam. Then he grabs Dom. This was a good choke slam. A little more tame. He choke slams him through the table. And then at that point, Danhausen hit McDonough with his triple D finish to pick up the win. Look, this was exactly what I expected it to be. It was the crowd-pleasing match of the night. Danhausen was, he came out there, got a hero's welcome. They had one of the New York Knicks players come out of the cloning machine to the big ovation. He was the only one really who got physical on the show because he's not among the walking wounded. But what they had him do was very safe. Again, all he had to do was just grab these guys by the throat and just go like this, and they'll do the rest. And everyone popped for it. And Danhausen picks up the win. You either are a fan of Danhausen and his shtick or you're not. There's really no in between. And if you're a Knicks fan, then you probably enjoyed the cat cameo. But there's really not much else to say about it. It would have been ridiculous to leave Danhausen off this show, right? I said this weeks and weeks ago. I said they're going to build this show around him. And they did. They built the advertising around him until they announced the tag team match, which was only last week. All the posters and everything had Danhausen in it. We didn't even know anything else about this show. They had him in New York doing all kinds of media leading up to it. They had a parade earlier today. If you watched it on Peacock, they streamed the whole thing. It was him and R-Truth were on this little makeshift Danhausen parade float that was moving very, 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 very slowly down the street in Midtown Manhattan on its way to Madison Square Garden. And it was pouring today, by the way. The weather was just straight ass here in New York. I mean, when I say it was raining, it was fucking downpour today. And it was, at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, it was so dark, it looked like it was 8 o'clock at night. So Danhausen's on the float with R-Truth. They're holding up their umbrellas. And I mean, it was literally just them standing there and just saying a lot of stupid shit. They just put a camera in front of them and there really wasn't much to it. But everything was built around Danhausen. So you had to have him on the show. It made sense for him to be on this show. If there was a show that he should be on, right? This was the one. So this was fine. I might not have, not that I hated it, but like, obviously this was like, all right, can we just get this over with? That was my attitude about it. Let's just do it, get it over with, and let's kind of move on to the next thing. These things would be a lot more tolerable if you had cards that had more than 4 matches. You know, when you have these short cards, and I know they added the 5th on the pre-show, but not counting that. When you have these small cards and you don't have a lot of matches announced, and one of them is this comedy stuff, you feel it a lot more. If they had 6 matches on this card, and one of them was the comic relief match of the night, and you did all the Danhausen stuff, I think that some of the people who maybe didn't like this shit might have been able to tolerate it more, because at least there's other, really good stuff that you can kind of pick and choose from on the show. They don't give you a whole lot of variety sometimes on these shows. And so for some people, I think that's part of the problem. It's like you have this, and then after this, it's like, well, we have this, and that's it. But this was what I expected it to be. Nothing more, nothing less. We go to the back, and she's back. Kathy Kelly is back. And Kathy interviews a very disheveled Lyra Valkyria. Lyra says, what's funny? The last time that she was in this building, she was competing for the women's tag team. Was she in the match? Were Asuka and Kairi in the match? I feel like it was a multi-team match for the women's tag belts, and they may have been in that match. If so, that's incredible timing on that super chat. But she says the last time that she was in this building, she was competing for the women's tag team titles. Now she doesn't even know if she can be the person that she used to be. She said that she will get Bayley out of her head once and for all tonight. And then after this, we had Commercial Palooza. Bayley was approached by Jackie Redmond in the back after Commercial Palooza was over. Bayley said that apparently she's the only one in the locker room who's thinking straight, and she tried to give Lyra her space. That didn't work. So tonight, she's going to end her before she even gets started. And that led into Bayley one-on-one with Lyra Valkyria. Lyra has new entrance music, which is really just her old music slowed down. I dig it. It's got a very dark vibe to it. It works for this character, this heel character that she's portraying. It works. And it also takes the whole element out of the song where the fans go, woo! No more of that. You can't do that anymore. It doesn't work. The song is too slow. No more wooing Bird Girl when she comes out. So Lyra went right after Bayley, right at the bell. And so Bayley is trying to fight her off, and they end up outside the ring. They're over by the apron, and Bayley throws a shot, like a right hand at her. And now Lyra is kind of covering up, and I mean, it didn't look like anything out of the ordinary at first. Lyra's crouched down now like in a ball, on her knees on the floor outside. When Bayley picks her up to move her, I notice, oh shit, there's a ton of blood on the floor outside. And there's no way that this woman bladed herself. So I'm like, she got hit in the nose or the mouth, or something happened here. She got hit in the nose. They showed the slow motion replay of it. She got hit in the nose with an elbow. So Bayley didn't even hit her like with a right hand shot. She caught her with either like this part of the forearm here, or I think it was the elbow. So think of when Brock opened up Cena all those years ago, or Randy Orton with the elbow. She went all fucking Brock Lesnar on Lyra's face here. Guarantee you she broke her nose. There were puddles of blood in different spots on the floor outside. I was actually kind of shocked they didn't wipe that up as quickly as I thought they would. They left it there for a while. So you see like a little blood here, blood there, blood there. And the doctor's right there. I'm like, boy, I'm surprised he hasn't already like sopped that shit up because it's dangerous. You know, they kept going back outside. And I'm like, at one point, Bayley was teasing doing some kind of dive or something out to the floor, like in that area. And I'm like, she's liable to slip. You know, there's enough blood on the floor out there where it might make it a little slick. So she got hit pretty bad here. And I thought they might stop the match. I mean, this is the way WWE operates these days. And they did at one point, like the referee held Bayley back a little bit and they kept Lyra off camera because they were, you know, wiping the nose to try to get rid of the blood. And they did for a little bit. Eventually it came back. Thankfully, they didn't stop the match. I mean, come on. Give me a fucking break. These women are tougher than that. So the match continued on. And referee at one point was holding Bayley back as Lyra was being checked on. Bayley, though, she went and did this low dive out onto her on the floor, rolled her back into the ring. Bayley put Lyra in a Boston Crab right in the center of the ring. She wasn't even close to the ropes. Lyra slipped out. She sent Bayley to the corner, and Bayley ended up on top. Lyra, she got there first, delivered a neck breaker onto the top turnbuckle. And then she hit this great looking guillotine because she had Bayley kind of hanging over the ropes. And she hit this guillotine leg drop. She got, I mean, they showed a replay of it. She got great height on this and just came right down on the back of Bayley's neck. Bayley, though, was able to make a comeback when she caught Lyra's leg off a spin kick attempt and she sent her into the corner. And so she ends up putting her in a crossface, which I'm sure didn't feel too good. If she did have a broken nose, or even if it wasn't broken, I mean, clearly she had a nose injury. And Bayley just has her in a crossface and is like, her fucking hands are right across the bridge of the nose and she's wrenching back on her here. But anyway, the hold got broken. Lyra was able to use a sling blade to take down Bayley, locked in a sleeper hold. Then she bridged up. Basically, she had the Jon Moxley Bulldog choke applied. And she bridged up to apply even more pressure to the choke. Bayley looked like she was at least on her way to going out, and the referee called for the stoppage. And that was it. When the match was over, Lyra, she was outside with Bayley. She sent her headfirst into the ring post, the LED casing around the ring post, reapplied the choke. Referee was able to get her off Bayley. Lyra goes over to the steel steps and she removes the top half of the steps. And then she set Bayley up for a Nightwing onto the flat bottom part. And that's how she left her. Bayley was just sprawled out across the steps and the camera followed Lyra down the aisle. I do like when they have these Saturday Night's Main Event shows. The aisleway is a lot more narrow. So the fans can kind of reach out and they're closer to the talent, which is kind of how it used to be. But just bringing the fans in a little bit more like that visually, I just think it just makes for a better visual. Instead of putting so much separation as they sometimes do between the talent and the fans when they're all right there and they're coming out and they just want to touch their arm or something like that, That's how it used to be. It just felt more like the fans are more crowded around them. Lyra's talking shit to the fans as she's going to the back. This was good stuff. Obviously, the blood was not intentional. I do think it added to the match because you had these two women who have a grudge issue, These two women were friends turned enemies. And Lyra was talking about, what she's going to do to Bayley on this show. She was right on top of her right from the start of the match. And so I would say a little blood goes a long way, but there was more than a little blood coming out of that nose. There were a few rough moments in this match. I just chalked that up to Lyra trying to get her bearings, with the injury. It was like right after it happened. There was just some back and forth with them that was a little off. So I just kind of chalk it up to that. But this whole issue of is this Bayley's send-off? Did we just witness Bayley's last match in WWE? I don't know what her contract status is. I know all of the talk has been that her contract is up this year. My impression was that it was later in the year. But I don't think it's ever really been reported exactly when her deal is up. Now, when I did the sound off at the beginning of the year, and I do my annual prediction show every year, in my predictions, I said that if there's anybody who's going to go from WWE to AEW, and not the other way around, I think Bayley leaves before the end of the year. She leaves WWE at the end of her deal, and she goes to AEW. And I still feel that way. I just don't know when her contract is up. I don't think this is the last time that we're going to see Bayley in a WWE ring. I'm not writing her off as if that's the end of Bayley. No, this was an angle that absolutely felt like they were writing her off television. But I would still expect her to come back, and this was only the first match, right? So my guess is we get at least one more, if not a 3-match series between them. Maybe at the end of it, that's their way of writing her off if she is going to leave, but there's been nothing reported about what her current status is or that her contract is up and, imminently or anything like that. I wouldn't read too much into this. This was an angle that I think writes her off television maybe for a couple of weeks, and then she'll probably be back and we'll get another match between them. I don't know that we need one. I mean, Lyra beat her pretty decisively here. She didn't cheat. There was no ref bump. She didn't put her feet on the ropes. There was no Tatum Paxley. I thought maybe they were going to debut somebody new from NXT, to kind of pair them up with Lyra. No, I mean, they had a straight wrestling match. This woman was leaking like a sieve, and she got the win. She has a new finishing move, and she got the win. And so to that end, I liked it. I was very skeptical about Lyra as a heel. If you remember when she first turned on Bayley all those weeks ago, I said that. I said, I don't know if she's got a heel run in her. I've never seen Lyra Valkyria as a heel. What kind of heel would she be? I don't know. Now we're starting to see what kind of heel they want her to be, and I like how vicious she was here on this show. And I think that if she's really committed to this role, this could work. This could work for her. I mean, she's already more interesting now, just doing this stuff than she was 6 months ago. So she may well have a good heel run in her. It's not just up to her, though. WWE has to be able to program her with the right people and really commit to it. I don't trust them. I trust that she'll put her all into it, and she clearly, there's something there. But can WWE follow through? As always, that is the question. But yeah, I wouldn't read too much yet into the Bayley stuff, although I do expect her to leave. I think within the next year, we're going to get Mercedes and Bayley back in the ring together. Totally. We have not seen the last match between them, either as tag team partners or opponents. And the next time we see it, it will not be in WWE. Backstage, Kathy Kelly interviewed the WWE champion CM Punk and Cody Rhodes side by side at the gorilla position as they were preparing to go out for their tag team match. Cody said that he was surprised that she didn't ask the age-old question of whether he and Punk can coexist. Motherfucker, I had that shit in the thumbnail before he even uttered the words, before this show even came on the air tonight. What you see in the thumbnail was there from fucking early this morning. That's all this was. Can they coexist? This whole thing was built on the trope of can they coexist? So Cody was poking some fun at it here. Cody said, of course they could. And he added that he didn't want Punk to have any excuses when he beats him at SummerSlam. And Punk smiled and delivered a very similar statement about not wanting Cody to have any excuses. And then they bickered about who should go out first, and they played Cody's music, and so off he went first. And then we got the main event, which actually ended up not being the main event of this show, but it was my main event. It was the real main event of this show. It was an actual fucking wrestling match. It was CM Punk and Cody Rhodes as tag team partners taking on Gunther and SAMI ZAYN, with the stipulation that if Gunther and SAMI ZAYN could win this match, they would be added to the WWE Championship match at SummerSlam to make it a fatal four-way. No chance of that happening because of the Nick Aldis stuff. Clearly, we knew that match was going to come at SummerSlam. And so for me, For me personally, there wasn't any real drama about how this match was going to go. I still like that they added the stipulation. I especially like it because just based on some of the stuff I saw on social media, apparently there were a lot of people who did not pick up on the fact that they were going to be doing Gunther and Nick Aldis at SummerSlam, and they legitimately thought that we might get a fatal four-way. So for a good chunk of the audience, I guess it probably worked. But I like that they added something tangible to this match instead of it just being a tag team match. Now there was something on the line, and there was at least a segment of the audience who really did believe that they were going to get a fatal four-way, because all four of these men have been linked together in some way. And logically, people are probably looking at it going, well, what else would they do? What else would SAMI ZAYN be doing at SummerSlam, right? If they didn't do a fatal four-way match, which is, a fair point. So as soon as Sami got to the ring, he was the last one out. He and Punk just started going at it, and then Gunther and Cody started going at it. So a hot start right off the bat. There were no collar and elbow tie-ups, no theatrics, nothing. Just fighting, just picking up where they left off at the end of SmackDown the night before. So Sami distracted the referee while Gunther took Punk out to the floor, dropped him onto the barricade. Cody went outside to go help Punk. He actually picked Punk up and threw him back in the ring because he wanted to make sure that his team didn't lose. So I don't know if Punk was fully recovered yet. Cody didn't seem to care, though. He didn't want Punk to get counted out, so he threw him back in the ring. And Sami just starts beating on Punk, and he's screaming at him, "You stole it from me! You stole it from me!" So Punk was bleeding from the mouth. More blood on this show. I don't know if he bit his lip or his tongue. I don't know what he did, but there was blood coming from his mouth. Maybe he had internal bleeding. He crawled over to tag Cody just as Sami tagged Gunther into the ring, and Cody laid out Gunther with a disaster kick. Sami tried to get involved here. Rhodes, though, put him down with a Cody cutter and sent him right back outside. So Cody then hit a Cody cutter on Gunther from the top. Only got a 2 count out of it. He went for a crossroads. Gunther was able to avoid it, though. He tagged Sami in, who tried for a Blue Thunder Bomb. Cody kicked out. So Sami went for a haluva kick. He did not connect with it. Cody instead tagged in CM Punk, who came off the top with the forearm and a bulldog. Punk dropped the flying elbow from the top rope and then locked on the Anaconda Vice. Gunther tried to break the hold. Cody, though, cut him off, put him in a figure 4 leg lock. So now we had dueling stereo submissions here in this match. Gunther, though, was able to roll over in the figure 4 just enough to reach over and gouge Punk's eyes to break that hold. And then Gunther yelled at Sami, "Sami!" So Sami could come over and break the figure 4. Sami hit an exploder into the corner on Punk, and he was gearing up for a haluva kick. And this time it connected, but then Cody hit Sami with a crossroads. Gunther then threw a hard lariat that dropped Cody, and he went for Punk. Punk, though, caught him with a GTS. All 4 men now are down for the reset. Gunther got up first. He shoved Punk into Cody, who was on the apron, and knocked Cody to the floor. Uh-oh. The 2 of them collided. Yeah, Falcon Star, man. That's a good point. This match was all gas, no brakes. Usually these WWE shows, at least the ones on TV, although I guess PLEs are really not that much different. Usually the WWE shows are all brakes, as in commercial breaks. This match, though, it was all gas, no brakes. So after Gunther shoved Punk into Cody and knocked Cody off the apron, he locked the sleeper hold in on CM Punk. Punk managed to stand up. He tried for a GTS. Gunther, though, got him down in the hold again. But Punk, he got up close to his corner, close enough anyway that Cody was able to tag himself in. And he delivered a crossroads to Gunther to drop him. Cody went for the pin. Sami flew in, though, and broke things up. So in all of the chaos that was unfolding here, Charles Robinson, the referee, he took a bump. We got a ref bump, which meant fuckery was coming here in this match. Punk hit a GTS on Sami, and then he and Cody started taking turns, just throwing haymakers at Gunther. It was 2-on-1 on Gunther. The baby faces were ganging up on the heel. No referee, though, because Robinson is still down. So Cody went for a Cody cutter, but Gunther moved and he hit Punk with it by accident. That's the second miscommunication here between these two men in this match. Gunther left the ring. He went to go grab the WWE Championship, brings it into the ring, and he blasts Cody in the head with the belt. And then he powerbombed him. No referee. So he's waiting for another referee to come on down. Here comes another referee. He runs down to the ring. He slides in. And the camera cut to a different angle that showed us Nick Aldis was crouched down outside the ring. Oops. I don't think they meant to show that. So we already kind of got spoiled as far as what was about to happen. But as the referee begins to count, he counts 1, he counts 2. And sure enough, oh my God, I'll act surprised here. Oh my God, look everybody, it's Nick Aldis in his suit. And he pulls the referee out of the ring. And Gunther is just, he's beside himself. You know, he gets up to his feet. Aldis has now taken possession of the WWE championship belt. And Gunther kind of that reaches outside, but he kind of bends over like he's looking at Aldis. What are you doing? And Aldis reaches up and just wallops him right upside the head with the belt. Gunther staggers backwards and CM Punk puts him down with a go to sleep. Punk then pulls Cody, who was the legal man, on top of Gunther. Aldis sends the referee back into the ring to count the 1, 2, 3. Sammy, he tried to make that last minute save. He just couldn't get there in time. And Cody Rhodes and CM Punk, they secure their main event, very likely the night 1 main event, at SummerSlam for the WWE Championship. It will not be a fatal 4-way because it was never going to be a fatal 4-way. They just wanted you to believe that it might be. But no, it is 1-on-1. I really like this match. It never let up. It was never boring. There was never a dull moment here. It was all action from the very beginning. Crowd was into it. And again, there was at least something on the line here. So it created some dramatic near falls towards the end. So I really liked the match. It was a 1-match show. Really needed that 1 match to deliver. And I felt like it did. There were some miscommunications between Punk and Cody. But when the match was over, I mean, it was nothing that derailed the match. They still won. And that was one of the things, like, I said this last week, like, Cody and Punk were going to win this match because I just could not imagine them beating either one of them. Punk is the champion. They're not going to beat him. Cody is the former champion, the number 1 contender. They're not going to beat him. It just seemed pretty obvious they were going to win the match regardless. But it wasn't like after the match they were at each other's throats or anything. Hey, why'd you hit me? Or why'd you bump into me? Like, everything was cool. Everything was cool. I was watching Cody. He was acting a little strange. I thought something might go down here. He was holding the belt. And I'm watching him, but hands the belt over to Punk. Punk slings the belt over his shoulder. And in so doing, the strap smacked Cody in the face. Punk didn't seem like he knew that. He left the ring. Cody didn't seem very happy. They're building to it. There's going to be an explosion. Maybe on Friday next week, there's going to be an explosion between these two. Nick Aldis costing Gunther seemed to be the obvious choice. I said last night in the SmackDown review, does he interfere during the match or does he make an appearance after the match is over? And it did make more sense for him to appear during the match and cost Gunther. But here's the thing about that. So that's great. He gets his revenge on Gunther. I don't know if that's going to cost him his job, where he is permanently removed from the GM position. I think he does a good job as the GM. I think it's still the right role for him. I don't see him returning to a full-time wrestling role. So I don't know if they'll fire him in that role, but they're going to set up a match between them for SummerSlam, right? That much is very clear. What about Sami Zayn? Sami Zayn just got royally screwed by his boss, who let his emotions get the best of him. And he interfered in a match that he had no business getting involved in. In doing that, he also fucked over Sami Zayn, not just Gunther. Sami Zayn now more than ever has a very valid reason to show up on television and protest and say that I need my championship match because this is ridiculous. I never got my rematch. Everybody else gets a rematch. I never got my rematch. And now I had the chance to go to SummerSlam and you took it away from me. What are you going to do to remedy this? What are you going to do to fix this? One thing that they could do is to say, okay, fair enough. The match at SummerSlam is not going to be a fatal four-way because Gunther lost, but you didn't lose and you got the Raw end of the deal. So to make it up to you, we're going to add you and make it a triple threat instead of a fatal four-way. I don't know that that's what they're going to do. I'm saying it's an option. If the choice is Sami in the match or Sami not even on the SummerSlam card, then I would say put him in the match. It just feels to me like the match is set. The biggest possible match they could do, it's not a triple threat match. It's Sami on the outside looking in on Cody and Punk going one-on-one. And so to change that now, they've tried to sell more tickets over the past week off the weight of that match being announced. To now go back and change the match would be kind of lame. Some people may not want to see a triple threat. They may want to see Cody and Punk one-on-one. That's the match that they've been promoting. But if they don't add him, there's no other obvious role for him. To make Sami a referee, you could do it, but you've already done that. We've already seen SAMI ZAYN as the referee. What's the point of doing that again? If you want him involved in the match, then put him in the match. The other thing you could do is not put him in the match and say the decision is final. We have a singles match. However, you are owed a rematch, and so you get the first shot coming out of SummerSlam. Whether it's Punk, whether it's Cody, whoever it is, you will get them on that first SmackDown after SummerSlam for the WWE Championship. As long as Sami gets his match, right, that's what he wants. He wants his rematch. He'll be very upset if it doesn't happen at SummerSlam, but I'm just not convinced that they're going to add him in there to make it a triple threat, but it certainly is an option. If you wanted to make sense of it, that would be the way to make sense of it. He lost tonight not through no fault of his own. The reason he lost is because of Nick Aldis. So Nick Aldis has to find a way to make it right. Very simple. Otherwise, Sami's going to be wrestling Johnny Gargano on top of a crate on the pre-show at SummerSlam this year. They may have a planking match. Sami is going to be so depressed after all this, by the way, he may start planking. We may have dueling crates with the two of them. That'll be the pre-show attraction at SummerSlam. Amazing. If he gets a rematch and loses, what do you do with? Well, of course he's going to lose. Let's just end this right here, okay? If Sami Zayn gets his rematch, he's not winning the belt back. Like, it's over. It's done. If he gets his rematch, he's going to lose. When he loses, he's going to continue doing the same gimmick he's been doing. Justice for Sami. I've been screwed. Everything you've seen him doing on TV, he's just going to continue doing it. Who he'll work with, I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. But the idea that he's going to win the belt back and get a proper reign, I don't see it. I don't see that happening. Now, if you turn the show off at this point, you will have already seen the main event. But we weren't done yet. They kept going because that's not how the show ended. Are you ready? Are you ready for the aura farming, everybody? I know you're ready for the aura farm. We are in the aura farming era of WWE. And boy, did we get that here in this closing segment. This was our main event tonight. Michael Cole and Wade Barrett. They pitched it to what ended up being kind of a long video package, narrated by former New York Giants Super Bowl winning quarterback Eli Manning. And this was a video package dedicated to the King of New York, Jalen Brunson, who will not have to pay for another meal for the rest of his life anywhere in New York. Brunson was introduced at the end of this. They had a camera backstage in the locker room. He's standing in front of like a Knicks jersey. I think his jersey is hanging there. And the camera just follows him as he slowly makes the walk through the locker room, out into the hallway. And it's following him, through the back. And he's wearing an OTC 11 shirt. 11 being the number that Jalen Brunson wears. So now they created a new shirt they can sell, OTC 11. And he has his own theme music. He got a full fucking entrance here. He got more of an entrance on this show than Joe Hendry has gotten in the 7 months or whatever it's been that he has been in WWE. So he's walking through the back, playing this music. He's got the cast on his wrist. He just had wrist surgery at the end of the season. Can't be too serious. He's expected to be back on the court by the end of the summer. But he still has the cast. I mean, he literally just had surgery in the last 2 weeks. So still had the cast on. And he's walking through the back, and there are people lining the sides as he's walking by. A bunch of randos who are just cheering for him and applauding him. And there's Karl Anthony Towns. You can't fucking miss him. He's 7'7". And so Brunson goes over and greets him very warmly. And as he's walking, they're splicing in highlights of the Knicks, like various Jalen Brunson plays and New York Knicks plays from this past season. I'm sure all of this was very exciting to all of the non-Knicks fans out there, or even better, all of the non-basketball fans out there. They must have been eating this stuff up. So Roman Reigns, all of a sudden, he popped out from behind the curtain over by the gorilla position to greet Jalen Brunson, and then they played Roman's music out in the arena, and the two of them made their way out on stage together, throwing up the ones in the aisleway, and they shot off pyro. Michael Cole said this was Brunson's first time stepping foot inside Madison Square Garden since the Knicks won their championship. Once they got into the ring, even more pyro. They blew the pyro budget on this show tonight. I didn't mention that Fatal Influence got pyro after they won the women's tag team. I'm convinced that every title change, no matter how low on the totem pole that title is, you could have the speed title change hands and fucking pyro would be shooting out from the top of the arena. I mean, I'm all about making your championships feel meaningful, but they went a little crazy on the pyro tonight. These guys got pyro in the aisle, and they got more pyro when they were in the ring together. And Roman said, well, this is something you don't see every day now, do you? And he said it was rare air that they were in right now. Oh, that's quite true if you've stepped outside of New York City this weekend. This is very rare air. Air that's so thick you can't even see through it, but you'll choke on it. That's how rare the air has been. Thanks, Canada. He said this is where greatness acknowledges greatness. Roman said it's no secret that New York City is the home of WWE. He told the fans that they make him feel like he's home whenever he goes there. And they broke out into an OTC chant. Roman said 53 years was way too long, referencing how long it was since the Knicks won their last championship. He said Brunson would say that it's a team sport, but Roman said there's only one tribal chief and there's only one captain. He said Brunson is the NBA Finals MVP. He's an NBA champion, and he's the king of New York. He said every champion in WWE needs a title, and so he made some moves. And he walked over, and there was, it would be so great if it was Lard at ringside. I couldn't tell who it was. I couldn't tell if it was Roman's friend Lard, who hands him the belt now every time he shows up on TV. But whoever it was at ringside hands Roman this replica championship belt that he presents to Jalen Brunson. It is a replica version of Roman's World Heavyweight Championship, but instead of being on a black strap, it is on a blue strap, right? Because blue and orange, those are the Knicks colors. It's got a blue strap. It's got an orange stripe, basically down the back of the strap. It's got the custom side plates. It's actually a gorgeous belt. I have to say, I don't know that I was expecting the World Heavyweight title to work that well on a blue strap, but it really does work. So Reigns gave it to Brunson, and the crowd broke out into a chant of "You deserve it." Mets and Islanders colors too. Yes, those are the blue and orange are the Mets colors as well. But the Mets will not be winning a championship anytime soon. So this is as close to a New York Mets replica champion, true championship belt that you're going to find. because we ain't going to get Juan Soto walking out at, Madison Square Garden anytime in the near future to accept his New York Mets championship belt. Okay, that ain't going to happen. Reigns said that Brunson doesn't just deserve it. He owned it. Or earned it. I say owned it? Well, he did own it, but he also earned it. Solo should buy that title and hang it on the wall. Are they selling it? Oh, of course, stupid question. I'm sure they are. Are they selling it, and is it less than $1,000? Would be my question. I actually, not for nothing, I would probably consider it. It's a really good looking belt. But I'm sure I can't afford it. Not only knows what they're selling it for. So he said it was time. New York City, acknowledge us. And they both held up their respective titles. Seth Rollins' music interrupted. Instead, though, we got no Seth Rollins. We got Tyrese Halliburton of the Indiana Pacers. He walked out with a chair. Michael Cole said that the Pacers knocked the Knicks out of the playoffs a couple of years ago, and so New York has not forgotten it. But here Seth Rollins does enter. He ambushed Roman in the ring from behind. It was all a trap. It was a setup. Halliburton stood outside on the floor. He handed the chair to Rollins. Brunson's just standing in the corner watching all of this with his friggin' cast on his wrist. Rollins puts Roman's head on the chair. He's setting up for a curb stomp. And Brunson just very casually steps in front of Roman to be his shield from Seth Rollins. Rollins now is just eyeballing Brunson, and he takes his jacket off. Reigns, though, comes flying in out of nowhere with a Superman punch. Rollins leaves the ring, and he's backing up the entrance with Halliburton. Again, they look... This, like, if you were to watch this, you would swear that they were setting up a tag team match. And if this was another era of wrestling, this would be the headline match at SummerSlam. It would be Roman Reigns and Jalen Brunson wrestling Tyrese Halliburton and Seth Rollins, but they're actually not setting up a tag team match, thankfully. But now we have a crew member, again, maybe perhaps Lard, placing the Larry O'Brien trophy. This is what the Stanley Cup is in the NHL, or the Lombardi trophy is at the end of the Super Bowl, or the World Series trophy presented in baseball, right? This is the crown jewel of the NBA, the championship trophy. They place it in the ring. And so Roman, he takes Jalen Brunson's blue belt, he straps it around Brunson's waist, and he hands Brunson his belt to hold over his shoulder, and Brunson's like, go ahead. It's all yours. Roman reaches down and he picks up the championship trophy as if this man hasn't held enough titles. Let's give him some more. Let's give him one more. Why not? And he hoists the Larry O'Brien trophy over his head. Now we get more pyro, more fucking pyro. These two men got 3 different instances of pyro in the same segment. So they shoot off more, and they closed in the cheesiest way possible. They didn't just fade out here. The best way I could describe it, we got a still shot to close the show that they faded out from, of Roman Reigns and Jalen Brunson in the ring holding up their championships and the trophies and everything else. It almost looked like a postcard. And then that's how they went off the air. It was very, very hokey, the way they close things out here. Look, as far as this closing segment, it's going to be very polarizing, and people are going to be like, what the hell was this doing on this show? This had no business being on this show. This is ridiculous. They didn't close with the tag team match. This is what WWE is now. WWE tells you what is most important to them. And what is most important to them is when you're able to wrangle up a bunch of star athletes or celebrities from whatever field they may be from. that will always take priority over everything else. Because if they can use those people as a way to put more publicity on them and get those moments on those TV shows and on SportsCenter and on all these websites and all these social media pages, then that's what they're going to do. And that's going to be the main event. That's going to be the most important thing on the show. I would call it the TKO effect, but it's not like they weren't doing stuff like this before TKO came along. Like, you know, do you think Vince would have put this on at the beginning of the show? Like, no, they would have closed with this. But it is very much a TKO-like segment. Again, I just think back to the Pat McAfee stuff from earlier this year. Oh my God, we got to get Pat McAfee involved here. Now we can have celebrity involvement in the main event of WrestleMania. So they decided, well, we can use the New York Knicks and have this celebrity involvement. Halliburton was out there too, but you can have this celebrity involvement and we'll try to use it in a way that helps promote Roman Reigns against Seth Rollins, which is our main event, our big main event for SummerSlam. Not a terrible idea, but we didn't need fucking 20 plus minutes of it. That we didn't need. This did not need to take up as much time as it did. I'm sure the fans of Madison Square Garden loved it. They were loud for it. They loved seeing Kat earlier in the show. They loved seeing Jalen Brunson. The man he's a made man. You know, if they never win another championship, he's a made man for the rest of his life. And they just won. So of course he was going to be greeted like a hero. He was going to be greeted like Odysseus returning home. And that's great, but for the people watching at home on TV, it probably didn't have the same effect as it did for the people in the building. So if that's how people felt about it, they're not wrong. Because I'm watching this also, and I'm like, oh my God, like, how long is this segment? This is quite ridiculous. But at least they were able to weave Rollins and Roman in there, and the idea was okay. The execution was very weird. Seth Rollins was booked as the fucking heel. I mean, clearly, Roman was the babyface and Seth was the heel, even though Roman is really a heel. But he's treated like a babyface. And Rollins, who has been a babyface up to this point in everything, comes across as the heel. So it was very bizarre. It was a very, very strange dynamic there. But you had to know that them coming to Madison Square Garden, they were going to do stuff with the New York Knicks. You can't pretend like you didn't know that something like this wasn't going to be coming. As soon as they said that Roman Reigns and Jalen Brunson were going to be together on the show, you knew something was going down with these two. It was exactly, you know, what you would expect WWE to do. I mean, Jalen Brunson is a WWE fan. He's literally been on their television show before, except he wasn't a champion back then. Now he is. He's the toast of the town. You mean we can get this guy on our show? We can get him on our show walking into Madison Square Garden for the first time since his team won the championship? Oh, you know what? That sounds great and all, but you know what? I think we're probably better off putting another match on the show. I think we'll pass. I think we'll have Tiffany Stratton defend her United States Championship against Kiana James on the show and say, well, are you out of your fucking mind? This is what they do. This is WWE in a nutshell. They are telling you that this is what is most important to them. It was a one-match show. Nothing else on this show mattered. It was a nice coup for them to be able to get these guys in, but none of this matters. If you pay attention to the product, if you care about the wrestling, if you care about the talent and what really matters and who's going to SummerSlam, right? Jalen Brunson's not going to SummerSlam. You don't give a shit about any of this. If you're not a New York Knicks fan, if you're a Boston Celtics fan, or if you're not even an NBA fan, you don't give a flying fuck about anything that happened in this closing segment. All you need to know is that CM Punk, Cody Rhodes, SAMI ZAYN, and GUNTHER went out there and had a really good tag team match. And they have set things up for their singles match for the championship at SummerSlam. We have new women's tag team champions in a division that is not exactly lighting the world on fire right now, so I'm not sure where they go to next. I mean, who's the next big challenger for Fatal Influence? I don't think they probably even know at this point. And that's it. It was basically a nothing show otherwise. as most of these Saturday Night's Main Event shows are. And I've said this before, and I stand by it. I think the minute that they went off NBC, they stopped giving a shit. You know, I mean, they're committed to doing these shows. They have these, they're basically quarterly specials at this point. It's some of the only stuff, it may be the only stuff at this point that's left on Peacock, right? Because they shifted all their other content off Peacock, but they have this agreement with NBC Universal, so they're committed to doing these shows. You'll notice Jesse Ventura is not invited anymore. They've retained some of the retro elements. I'm glad they at least have some. They didn't keep all of them. And, you know, it's like they're not on NBC. They don't have that network television exposure anymore. It's on fucking Peacock. So they kind of half-ass it. Not even kind of. I mean, they fucking half-ass it most of the time. If you miss a Saturday Night's Main Event, unless it's John Cena's retirement match, you're not missing anything. The real show is coming up in a couple of weeks in Minneapolis. And that's the one that they really better start to focus on as heavily as possible. Because there's a reason why they're putting tickets on sale for $25. There's a reason why lower bowl seats are now available for $43. A year ago, that wasn't happening. And the reason is because they're not selling as many tickets. And so they need to focus on that and figure out why that is. Because they have some big matches that have been announced for SummerSlam. It's not a bad card. But clearly they're not giving people everything that they would like to see. That coupled with high ticket prices is a recipe for what we're seeing here, where they have 23,000 tickets out for each night of SummerSlam in a stadium that fits well more than double that. Focus on that. You had your fun tonight with the Knicks and everything and all your celebrity gaga bullshit. Now focus on SummerSlam and trying to sell tickets for the show. That's where their focus needs to be. Let's take a look at what you guys have done on the likes end here and see where we are. Because if you recall, the wheel said we needed 500 likes. We are currently sitting at 543. So we are, in fact, going to be doing Be the Booker, which is great to say. Oh, and we hit the bonus goal. I literally just looked up. And saw it. SmackDown is still on Well, SmackDown is airing on USA Network, but yeah, SmackDown, I guess, is the archives are on Peacock. You know, everything is so fucking just spread out. God, I hate that. It was so much better when everything was just kind of in one place, like on the network. And now it's all spread out. It's like you got this show over here, NXT on the CW, and you got this on Peacock, and you got this on Netflix, and you got this. Oh, God. The hell out of here, man. It's awful. Old school Saturday Night's Main Event show still on Peacock. Yep. There have been some really, really good ones too. In fact, I believe on the WWE Vault channel right now, they have, as they have all week, they have an ongoing Saturday Night's Main Event marathon. It's been looping all week. I jetted into it yesterday, and it was in the middle of Oktoberfest. And I believe I was watching Bret Hart, Jim Neidhart, the Islanders. Who else was there? They were doing, I think, a sausage-making contest. I was more entertained by that than most of what I saw on this show. All right, let's get into your super chats here. Then we can do some Be the Booker. I know you guys are waiting for that. Man, hit the bonus goal and everything. WWE Network was amazing, if you think about it. You think? One of those things, man, you don't know what you got until it's gone. I even like the original content. Table for Three, Camp WWE, Story Time. The Edge and Christian show that totally reeks of awesomeness. All right, well, we hit that goal. What the hell? We'll put one more up. Why not? Yeah, we had one night, was it last week or the week before, where we did 4 rounds of Be the Booker. That was quite amazing. Joseph Stewart. And I know Joseph was really looking forward to seeing the Odyssey, and apparently he very much enjoyed it. He says, it is a masterpiece. It is very good. I'll talk more about it on the show tomorrow. Yep, I saw that. Joseph, somebody you weren't with us last night, but somebody was like, this one's for you, Joseph, and mentioned that the Batman's been delayed. They instantly thought of you. And no, I did not see the Matt Reeves tweet. I don't even think I know what his Twitter is. Did you see Liv and Dom at Fantastic Fest today? What is Fantastic Fest? I don't know what that is. Do you mean Fanatics? I don't know what Fantastic Fest is. That's something completely different. I'm sure there is a Fantastic Fest. I don't think that's what was in New York City today. Do you think that both Julia Hart and Sky Blue are going to be big stars and crossover stars in AEW?
I am the Lord.
Shut the fuck up.
Summerfest, yes.
Fuck that tree.
That's right. Yeah, fuck that tree. Summerfest, that's right. I forgot about Summerfest. Do I think they're going to be big stars and crossover stars? No, I don't. Jack Perry against Nick Wayne is happening tonight on Collision. Good. What if Sebastian Stan is actually playing Mr. Freeze in part 2? I don't think anybody knows. It's all speculation. Let's see how it plays out. And he says, happy anniversary to The Dark Knight. It was released on this day in 2008. My favorite movie of all time. The best is The Dark Knight. Still hasn't been topped. Jersey, Authentic with a $10 super chat. Keep up the great work. Thank you, Jersey. I'm sure going to try. Super Pony, Sammy has a legitimate gripe to still get his rematch at SummerSlam. He did not get pinned tonight, and Aldis screwed his partner. He absolutely has a valid case to make. I expect him to make that on SmackDown next week. Aaron says, so nice of Roman to grant this Make-A-Wish for Jalen Brunson tonight. Truly riveting. I mean, they gave him the full entrance and everything. It kind of did feel that way. I hate to say that, but it kind of did feel that way. GMB, love EO, but Lyra might be the #1 women's wrestler there. I don't think she's #1, but she's really good. I wouldn't mind a heel Lyra against EO. I think that would make for a great match. How about we get that? Maybe we can get that after EO beats Liv and takes the championship out of purgatory. Can we get that match? Brody. Pizza, a bag of bugles, and Solomonster on a Saturday night. What more could you ask for? A hot blonde to enjoy it all with. And send her my way. God, I sound like Vince. St. James with the $2, wearing my luchador mask to fetish night tonight. I'm going to pretend I didn't read that. Venom Kitetsu with the $12 learning tree says, the women's tag match was as predictable as the sun rising in the morning. Yes, but it was the right outcome. For the sake of fatal influence, thankfully it was the correct outcome. Most of these matches, I mean, I'm sorry to say it, it's just, I don't know. It's the style, I guess, if you want to call it that. Most of these matches, they don't mean anything. Like, you know, it just feels like they're going through the motions. They're just doing some moves, and there's nothing terribly exciting about the moves that they're doing. And then it's over. I don't feel anything with most of these matches on these WWE shows. Except that main event. That main event was quite good. Alexander. I'm curious if Nick Aldis gets stripped of his role as GM since he finally decided to do something unprofessional and cost Gunther his match. At the very least, I think he should be sent back home on administrative leave. Fried Chicken says, I bet SAMI ZAYN will cost Cody Rhodes the WWE Championship by disqualification. And he probably will cost Nick Aldis his match against Gunther. Sammy will be a party well, that would be fucking terrible, by the way. So I hope they're not listening to this right now. He's just going to randomly cause disqualifications across the SummerSlam card. Maybe he should just interfere in the women's ladder match too while he's at it. Maybe Sammy can enter himself into the ladder match and just scale the ladder and pull the women's championship down. That might be the only belt he can win at this point. We got 31 Gara. I'm calling it now. Sammy is going to beat up Adam Pearce for putting him in this situation to begin with. The last good guy against the last alcoholic on night 2. We'll get the GMs then in matches on both nights of SummerSlam. That'll sell some tickets. Hey, we're literally running more than half behind what we did last year in ticket sales. How can we drum up ticket sales for SummerSlam this year? Why do we put the 2 general managers back in the ring? How about we do that? That's a great idea. Holiday 197 says, hi Solo. I think Sammy may miss competing at SummerSlam, but will come out at the end of the pay-per-view, forming an anti-establishment faction. Kevin Owens returns with Drew McIntyre to unite with Sammy. And there is your War Games storyline. I like the way you think. See, now that is some creative thinking that I could get behind. I could definitely get behind that. I've been wondering where Drew has been, because I thought Drew was done filming, but maybe there was something else that he was going to film. Yeah, he may be filming something else. I don't know how practical it is, but I don't hate your idea. Anything but just another Bloodline War Games match. For the love of God, please. Anything but another Bloodline War. Can we keep the Bloodline out of War Games for 1 year? 1 year? Is it possible? Can we do that, please? Solomonster's Lost Son. $4.99. Hi, Dad. I've missed you. Sorry I haven't been here. I've been busy with work. When are we going to the Mets game? Like you promised. Well, when I made that promise to you, they were actually a promising team. That was at the very beginning of the season. They are no longer a promising team. The only promise that the Mets will make to you is that they will infuriate you. We will be going to no such game. Broadcaster dropped $10 for the Goalhausen, which we did hit. Thank you, brother. We got Will with the $20 super chat. Here's a movie I think you would like. 80s animated classic. Judd Nelson, Robert Stack, Eric Idle, and Casey Kasem. Synth score by the guy who did Stallone's Cobra. Sound good. It's a little flick called Transformers the Movie. That does sound quite good. EJ Slam. I like how you set that up, by the way. He took the time to really build it up. EJ says, my brother and I leave for Milwaukee tomorrow. I'm seeing your Mets against the Brewers on Monday for Freddie Peralta's return. Big spenders against overachievers. Well, congrats on the win. I saw the Mets lost again today to the Phillies. Chris Mikesell. Who is your favorite WWF European champion of all time? Mine was D'Lo Brown. Such a nice looking belt, short-lived. Why did it fall off? I think it was something that was just created for the Bulldog, honestly. And, you know, after him and Shawn, I mean, they never really took it seriously again after that, honestly. I did like it. I thought it was a good looking belt. As far as my favorite European champion, I would have to go D'Lo. I thought D'Lo was very entertaining. Jeremy Rose, if Aldis isn't fired, then what are we doing? Yeah, but very little that they do make sense. So I don't know why we would expect this to all of a sudden make sense. I said this in the SmackDown review last night. Like, Jade Cargill breaks Alexa Bliss's arm. The very next week, she doesn't even get like taken off television for a week. The very next week, she's in a qualifying match to potentially challenge for the Women's Championship at SummerSlam. Charlotte Flair gets involved in Jade's qualifying match, and she is rewarded with one of her own on the show next week against Nia Jax. Gunther viciously assaults his boss and gets rewarded by being allowed to stay in a tag team match tonight that could very well result in him ending up in the main event of SummerSlam. And then in said tag team match, the boss that he beat up interferes and attacks him, which also costs a completely innocent person his opportunity to go to SummerSlam to challenge for the championship. There are no rules on this show. Nothing is fair. Nothing makes sense. Nothing. Not a single thing. Oh, we got Retro Mint Man with a $10 super chat. Do you recall the first WWF event that you attended live? Wishing you a blessed night from San Antonio. Thank you for all that you do. Thank you, Retro Mint Man. I do. First event I ever went to live was the day after Christmas in 1987, and it was at the very building that we had tonight, Saturday night's main event. It was Madison Square Garden. It was Randy Savage and the Honky Tonk Man in the main event for the Intercontinental title. Jeremy Rose, what match do you see Drew returning at Summer? What match do you see Drew returning at SummerSlam? I don't quite understand the question. When do I see Drew returning? I think that's the question. I kind of like the Holidays idea from before about him showing up at the end of night one or whenever the Punk and Cody match is and forming an alliance. Not that him and Sammy as stablemates makes too much sense, but nothing makes sense in this company, so who gives a fuck, right? Realistically, when do I see him coming back? I don't know. I'm almost positive he's filming something else right now. I think. I don't know. Sooner we get him back, the better. Be another big name back on the show. Jeremiah. This goes towards the belt fund. Ah, thank you. Yes, I have to start building up the fund for my New York Knicks replica belt. Are they selling them? I mean, we're talking about it as if they are selling them. I have to check now. They have to be selling them. Are you kidding me? They're going to make a fortune off these things. Let's take a look. Of course, the first thing I see on WWE Shop. Danhausen official merchandise, Saturday night's main event, NYC. No, it looks like they made that custom for Brunson. But if they put that belt on sale, they're going to make a shitload of... Oh, no, it is here. I stand corrected. I stand corrected. It is here. $700. Ships on or before December 4th, 2026. It's a good looking belt. That is a good looking belt. I don't know about that $700 though. Thank you, Jeremiah. Jeremy Rose says Cody got in Punk's face during the post show. They teased heel turn, but WWE will just end SummerSlam with Cody shaking Punk's hand. I'm not going to get excited. I said if anybody is going to go heel in this situation, I would much rather it be Cody than Punk. Reborn Bladder. As a non-sports fan, I could not even get past the entrance. Segments like these are why I watch the streams. You mean to tell me a non-sports fan didn't enjoy the circle jerk there at the end of the show tonight? I'm shocked. Shocked, I tell you. Jeremy Rose, the LTs, Tyson's, Mayweather's were used back in the day, but the way we did it made it seem somewhat special. Now they use any and every celebrity, quote unquote, that they can get, and it's just watered down now. Yeah, because they've leaned into the celebrity culture. So any big name they can get, they don't really give too much thought to, is this a good idea? How are we going to utilize them in the best way? They just throw them out there because it makes them feel bigger. Look who we have. Look who's a fan of what we do. Look who's in the crowd. Right? In their mind, it makes them feel that much more special, that much more of a hot product, even if it's really not. Cat looked like a giant because he is a giant. He's a giant man. Jersey Authentic with another 10. Thank you, Jersey. I'm becoming more of a fan of Jersey tonight than I have at any other point in my life. Sports Talk with Jose Rodriguez. I assume that's Rodriguez. The name is abbreviated, but he's coming in hot. The $10 super chat. Thank you. Thank you, brother. Base Beerus. God of Seduction. Says all the content being spread across different platforms is such a disservice to WWE and fans. Makes it hard to stay invested. It's also very expensive to have all of these subscriptions. Yeah, you kind of have to prioritize. Like, I mean, how many services are there at this point? There's Netflix, Paramount Plus, Peacock, HBO Max. I guess Amazon, Apple TV. Keep hearing about that show Widow's Bay on Apple TV. I don't have an Apple TV subscription, but I'm going to have to find a way to check that show out at some point. But I still got to watch The Penguin, which is on HBO Max. It's a lot. It's a lot. And I'm sure that's not even all of them. I'm sure I'm missing some. Hulu. There you go. ESPN. See, I fucking knew it. It's ridiculous. Ridiculous. The only subscription you need is a membership here on the Solomonster Sounds Off channel. Say fuck you to them, and that's all you need. Jeremy Rose says, if we lived in Bizarro World and WWE brought back the network and charged $50 a month, would you pay that? $50 a month for the network? It depends. I mean, when you say that they put everything on there, I mean, are we talking... Because we haven't had a complete, for example, Monday Night Raw library in years. Netflix is absolute fucking garbage when it comes to the Raw Vault. The Raw Vault is pathetic. It is anemic. If we had a full Raw vault, SmackDown vault, NXT going back to the early days of that, the syndicated shows, prime time they had on there, the Coliseum videos. Again, a lot of this stuff they already had previously, although not everything was up yet. They were in the process of slowly rolling stuff out. If it was truly access to like all of that stuff and all of the PLEs and Saturday night's main events and everything else, yeah, I would. $50 a month would still be a reach for a lot of people, but I would. I still feel like it would pay for all the PLEs were on there. I feel like it would pay for itself. Jeremy says if we just read that one. SoCal Chris. That sausage making contest featured Bushwhackers and the Genius, no? Did it? I thought I saw Haku in there. The Bushwhackers were definitely there. The Genius, I don't remember. EJ Slem says, being from Chicago, 2 movies I always think of when I'm downtown. The Dark Knight and The Blues Brothers. Do you have movies that are like that for New York City? Yeah, Cloverfield. That's my number one, man. You get a monster movie with a monster just clomping through the streets of New York City. Cloverfield, man. Without a doubt. Base Beerus. Rest in peace, Daphne. Yeah, I think somebody in the chat the other night said that she would have been 51. Is that accurate? Also says, another Summerfest already. Time flies. It does indeed. And Jeremy Rose. I meant, what match would you think Drew would make his return? I think he helps Aldis versus Gunther, setting up Gunther feud, and then maybe a title shot after. He feuds with Gunther because he helps. Why would he help Aldis? They basically gave his story to Gunther. This should have been McIntyre against Aldis, but they never pulled the trigger on it. Ooh, Die Hard 3. Yes, Die Hard 3 is another one. Absolutely. Absolutely. Definitely a New York City movie. You got Escape from New York as well, by the way. Yeah, how can I forget Die Hard 3? Die Hard 3 is one of my all-time favorites. But yeah, as far as the match, I mean, sure, he can interfere in the Gunther and Aldis match, but I don't know why he would be assisting. If I'm understanding you correctly, why would he be assisting Aldis? Retro KOH says, Long Bay, just 2 hours from me, is where King Kong was filmed. Well, I guess it's also King Kong 98, right? That was New York City. Don't forget the new Friday the 13th movie. Abusika says Bukaki.
I'm the Bukaki ghost. Oh my goodness. Oh my.
No.
Oh my.
No. The Bukaki ghost. No, not tonight. Oh my God. I wasn't expecting an appearance from the ghost. The ghost is back. Thanks to Havili. With a $69 super chat drop. I meant Godzilla. What did I say? King Kong? I meant Godzilla. King Kong ain't got shit on me. No, it was Godzilla. You're right. Godzilla 98. Not people are like, wait, was there a new King Kong movie that I was unaware of? What is that? What is that? That's the Bukaki ghost. And you better show some respect, or he'll be stalking you in your dreams. And you don't want that, believe me. You definitely do not want that. Abusika is the man responsible for that super chat, but Havili is the one who dropped it. Buy, sell, or rent. Favorite SummerSlam. 1996, 2006, 2016. Well, I was at SummerSlam in 2016, and I could tell you that one of the greatest SummerSlam matches of all time was on that show, which is AJ Styles and John Cena. And one of the best matches I've ever seen live. Not the best, but it is among the best. As far as the rest of the show, I'm just looking up the rest of the card here, just to jog my memory. Yeah, I mean, not a great show otherwise. Finn Balor got hurt that night. That was in the Universal title. I mean, they actually ended up having a really good match. I mean, honestly, for me, I'm probably going 1996. Shawn and Vader had a really good match. The Boiler Room Brawl is a personal favorite of mine. I really enjoyed the Boiler Room Brawl match. So yeah, I may actually go 96 and then 2016 and then 2006. In that order. Says if AJ Styles didn't retire, would he have gone to TNA to face Frankie Kazarian for the TNA World Championship or Leon Slater for the X Division Championship? I'm going to say no. I don't think WWE wanted him to. So that probably would have ended up not happening. Also, what is the most likely to happen if Stephanie Vaquer... What is the most likely to happen if Stephanie Vaquer at SummerSlam? If Stephanie Vaquer what? You left out the most important word. If she appears at SummerSlam, if she doesn't appear at SummerSlam, if she storms the ring, if she blows up the building, what would she be doing at SummerSlam? Now, in storyline, Liv Morgan in the Judgment Day injured her and took her out. So I guess maybe one way to answer this question is that if she was going to have a role at SummerSlam, I could see it. I could see her playing a role in helping Io win the championship when the other members of the Judgment Day get involved. Roxanne Perez, Raquel Rodriguez, they try to help Liv win. Here comes Stephanie. Stephanie fights him off. Liv has no help. Io wins the match. Super Pony. I watched Obsession last night. Very well-made movie. Don't ever want to watch it again because of how disturbing it was. Do you agree that Bear was the villain? Yes, Bear was the villain. And it's wild to me when I watch some of these reactions online. Because at this point, just through watching the reactions, I probably have seen Obsession like 25 times at this point. And most people get it. I think most people get it fairly early in the movie, or at least by the halfway point. There's a certain scene in the movie after the restaurant scene where if you don't understand that he's the villain by that point, then you're beyond help. He is absolutely the bad guy. I'm sorry. Navy 4181 Creative. How much blood does the show need? Triple H. Yes. Except all of it was Hardway. But again, it's a good thing it's not on Netflix, because if it was, they're all going to get blurred. They're all going to get blurred. Anyway, thank you guys for helping us reach not only the main goal, but the bonus goal, which means that you have unlocked 2 rounds of Be the Booker, which we are going to get to right now.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is now time to be the Booker.
Right now. That is what we are going to do. But first, we actually have a couple more super chats coming on in. It's our boy Havili again. Havili says, sorry, I meant if Stephanie Vaquer wasn't injured or Bianca didn't get pregnant, Rhea versus Bianca or Liv versus Stephanie Vaquer. I mean, Liv against Stephanie would be more likely. I mean, the Bianca thing, who the hell knows? I mean, she's been gone for so long. Who knows what she might be a heel by now. But definitely Liv and Stephanie. Although I think they would have gone back to it sooner. I don't know about that being at SummerSlam. They probably would have blown it off by now. And Super Pony Ian was also a giant douchebag. Yeah, I mean, there was a lot of cock blocking going on early on. Like, take the hint, dude. Take the hint. All right, here we go. We have the Gorillas of Destiny. We just landed on them the other night, and they are back again. The MFTs, Tama Tonga and Tongaloa, are kicking us off here. Tama Tonga and Tongaloa are going to get in the ring with Enzo Amore. What great timing on this. Enzo Amore and Colin Cassidy. Big Cass, who apparently has some earwax in this photo that he is trying to remove. Kaz and Enzo. I mean, Kaz and Enzo against GOD. Yeah, that don't work for me. I don't think that would be a great match at all. Enzo and Tongaloa sharing the ring together? That sounds like a fucking disaster. Maybe in a so bad it's good kind of way. Yeah, I don't know about that one. Women's Be the Boy. I can hear it. I can hear it in my head without even saying the words. I can hear Brie mode. Brie mode. Brie mode. Wiping it clean. We're gonna do another women's match here. I'm not in the mood for Brie mode. There we go. Kairi Sane. The best current elbow drop in the business. Kairi Sane against Dr. Britt Baker, DMD. The former AEW Women's World Champion. Poor Kairi. What do you mean, poor Kairi? Should probably give Britt the best match of her career. And in our first main event, it's the Honky Tonk Man. Somebody just asked me, my first live wrestling show, and this man was in the main event that night. He was defending the Intercontinental Championship. Listen to the Honky Tonk Man pick that guitar. See, I think what you need is all of you need a little honky hunka love in your life. That's what the song was, right? Is a honka honky love. I think that's what it is. You all need some honky love. The greatest Intercontinental Champion of all time. Honky Tonk Man against Bad Bunny. I had to think about that one. See, I don't think a wrestling match is what these two should be having. I think that there should be a concert. That's why I buzzed it. We're not booking a concert, though. We're booking a wrestling match. But I think I would pay money to see the Honky Tonk Man and Bad Bunny compete against each other in a concert. That would be worth the price of admission. You got to admit that at least would be entertaining. All right, now we move on to round number 2, and we have stipulations to choose from, and we have a brawl for all. Oh boy. There are just some people who were not cut out for this. There are just some people who are not meant for brawl for all. We'll go with the men. I'll tell you what, though, this man can go in the brawl for all. We have Vato Sting. I think he's going to be a tough one to beat. I mean, look at this guy. Would you want to be in the ring with him in a brawl for all match? I wouldn't. Vato Sting in his element, man. He's in the brawl for all. This is perfect. This is absolutely perfect. Oh my God, Vato Sting against Jacob Fatu in a brawl for all match. I can't pick a winner in this one. Holy shit. I can't pick a winner. This could go either way. This is 50-50. I mean, this man's done hard time. It's kind of hard to vote against Jacob in a match like this. Wow, what a match. What a match. That's going to be a hard one to beat. Sting is toast. See, I've rebounded with the creative here. We're making a comeback. We go from that to a barroom brawl. Well, I mean, I guess we'll go with the men again. I don't know about the women in a barroom brawl. That probably doesn't work too well. Barroom brawl. Who will be in the barroom brawl? Yokozuna. And it looks from the photo here that this was him near the peak of his size. He looks every bit of 600 plus pounds here. Yokozuna. You know, Yokozuna was part of the Bone Street crew, Undertaker's gang, the BSK. He's probably been in a few barroom brawls in his day. Yokozuna and the British Bulldog, Davey Boy Smith, in a barroom brawl. And actually, the two of them were stablemates in Camp Cornette back in '96. I would tap out instantly. Probably a wise move. And in our main event, unless we suddenly hit the second goal here, but this is probably going to be it. So we got to make it a good one. Oh, God. Anarchy in the arena, and you know what that means. 5-on-5. That's what we're going to do. We're going to do 5-on-5. Take out the pencils. Keep track of these teams. Because here we go. It is Anarchy in the Arena, team number 1. We're booking 10 men. Christian Cage, the former TNT champion. Okay, we got Christian. You know, I should really type this up because I will forget all of these names. We have Christian. We have New Jack. Oh boy, this team is starting to heat up here in a major way. Christian, New Jack, Adam Pearce says that be the booker. Oh no. Oh, Adam Pearce says that be the booker is hereby suspended. How could you? How could you? Well, I'm gonna make an executive decision here. Unfortunately, Anarchy in the Arena is gone. We have to wipe away Anarchy in the Arena, but because this was the bonus round, you get a redo. We can't go out like that. We do lose the match, though. Unfortunately, we lose the match. So Adam Pearce was quite the buzzkill there. I was looking forward to seeing who was going to be teaming with Christian and New Jack. I was starting to get excited about these teams. Yeah. He screws over Sammy, and now he screws over Be the Booker. Well, who knows? Maybe we'll end up doing a better match. A ladder match. A ladder match. Okay. Very simple, very basic, but works for me. How about we up the ante? How about we have an intergender ladder match? How about that? I want to make this interesting here. An intergender ladder match with China. Huh. Okay. She is a former Intercontinental Champion. China against CM Punk in a ladder match. Who you got? I think China might throw a heavier punch than Punk does. It's a very interesting main event, actually. Punk and China in a ladder match. See, we redeemed ourselves. Like I knew we would. Adam Pearce may take away the Anarchy in the Arena, but he cannot take away our fun. Fuck you, Adam Pearce. China loses. Okay. I got to go with Punk on this one. I don't know. It's a coin flip. Thank you guys for a fun stream. Hope you enjoyed it. Covered all of the Saturday night's main event show. Had a couple of rounds of Be the Booker that I think for the most part went well. Even though we were nearly screwed by the GM there at the end. Tomorrow, less than 24 hours, maybe about 24 hours, a brand new episode of The Sound Off, including my review of the Season 7, Episode 3 finale. It was a 3-parter, Jeff Jarrett and the battle for TNA Wrestling. And part 3, they got into some very, very juicy bits of TNA history. For example, the Monday Night Massacre back in 2010. Jeff Hardy at Victory Road in 2011. Hulk Hogan's famous departure from TNA. And a lot more. We're going to cover all of that tomorrow. And we'll talk all the news of the week. There's a lot of it. So I hope you'll tune into the podcast. Try to get us up to number 1, maybe. We hit number 1 a few weeks ago. Maybe we could do it again this weekend. I can't do it without you, though. Super Pony says, did you see Cody Punk backstage video they posted on social media? Cody was being very heel. How could I see it? I'm on the air with you. No, I did not see it. But I sure hope it's a sign of things to come, because You give me the book. Cody's going heel, not CM Punk. It's a lot more interesting to me if Cody goes heel. So anyway, so that's tomorrow. If you missed a SmackDown recap, we had fun with that last night too. Go back and check that out. And all the other content here on the channel. And that's all I got for you. Thank you for all the love, all the super chats. If you want to drop a super thanks in the comments, you could do that too. Channel memberships are open. Or you could just show up. Next time I'm live with you will be Monday night for the Raw post show. Should be a good time. So until then, be well, stay safe, have yourselves a great rest of your night. Thank you for spending part of your night with yours truly, and we'll do it all over again next week right here live on YouTube. Until then, take care, guys.
Oh, you got me, brother.